Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into those moments in life, you know the ones, that feel just a little too perfect to be random. We're talking about synchronicity.
Okay, let's just get right into it. Think about those times when the universe seems to line up in a way that just makes you stop and go, wait a minute. It's a feeling almost everyone has had at some point.
And I'm not talking about some movie plot. This actually happened to the actor Anthony Hopkins. He was trying to find a copy of a novel for a role he was taking on, and he just stumbles upon the author's own personal annotated copy, a copy that had been stolen years before. What are the odds? A 1 in a billion chance, maybe?
Or how about this classic? We've all been there. These are exactly the kind of meaningful coincidences that the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung was completely fascinated by. He's the one who gave them their name, synchronicity. And honestly, they seriously challenge our everyday understanding of how the world is supposed to work. So, where did this whole idea of meaningful coincidences even come from? Let's go back to the source and explore the original theory, because it suggests a pretty surprising connection between our minds and the world around us.
So Jung had this really mind-bending idea. He said, look, we all get cause and effect. That's how our world works. But what if there's another force at play? He called it an a-causal connecting principle. Basically, it means two events can be linked not because one caused the other, but because they share a deep symbolic meaning for the person who's experiencing them.
And this whole concept is built on another one of his huge ideas, the collective unconscious. Jung believed we're not born as blank slates. Nope, he thought we inherit this deep psychic foundation, like a shared hard drive of memories and experiences from all of human history.
And inside that collective unconscious are what he called archetypes. These are universal symbols and patterns that everyone, everywhere, understands on some level. You know, the hero, the wise old man, the shadow. So, for Jung, synchronicity is what happens when some event in the outside world triggers one of these deep internal archetypes. It creates this powerful bridge between our inner world and outer reality.
And he had the perfect story to illustrate his point. He was treating this patient who was totally stuck, super rational, always analyzing everything and making zero progress. So one day she's telling him about a dream she had involving a golden scarab. At that exact moment, something starts tapping at the window. Jung goes over, opens it, and what flies in? A beetle, the closest thing to a scarab in that part of the world. He catches it and just presents it to her. The sheer impossibility of it all just shattered her rational defenses, and her therapy finally moved forward. The power wasn't in the cause, it was in the totally irrational symbolic meaning of that moment.
Okay, but of course, not everyone is buying into this mystical view of the universe. So how does a more skeptical, scientific perspective try to explain these incredibly powerful experiences?
What's really fascinating here is that Jung actually collaborated for decades with Wolfgang Pauli, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. And Pauli saw this bizarre parallel between synchronicity and quantum entanglement. That's the spooky action at a distance that Einstein talked about, where two particles stay connected no matter how far apart they are. Both ideas seem to break the normal rules of cause and effect and hinted at some deeper, hidden connection in the universe. All right, but here's where the skeptics come in with a pretty powerful argument. You just have to look at the sheer scale of reality. With trillions upon trillions of things happening every single second all over the planet, the law of large numbers suggests that, yeah, some of them are going to line up in really strange and improbable ways.
The argument is actually pretty simple. What seems like a 1 in a billion coincidence doesn't seem so strange when you realize there are trillions of opportunities for it to happen every single day. By pure random chance, even the most unlikely events are basically guaranteed to happen sooner or later.
And on top of that, skeptics point out that our own brains are kind of built to find these patterns. We have all these cognitive biases. There's apophenia, which is our tendency to see meaning in just random noise. Then there's confirmation bias, where we remember the times the phone rang and forget all the times it didn't. And of course, selective attention. Once you start thinking about something, you suddenly start seeing it everywhere. So this really boils it all down to two completely different ways of looking at the exact same event. Is it caused by some deep, a-causal connection, or is it just random chance? Is the mechanism some mysterious collective unconscious, or just our own brain's biases at work? In short, is the meaning out there in the universe waiting for us, or is it something we create inside our own minds? But, this whole debate, it's not just a modern Western thing. If you look across different cultures and all through history, you find that this fascination with meaningful coincidence is a truly universal human theme.
Take Taoism, for example. They have this principle called Wu Wei, which is kind of like effortless action. The idea is that by aligning yourself with the natural flow of the universe, you become more open to these synchronicities. They aren't seen as random interruptions, but as signs that you're in harmony with the way things are.
And you find a similar idea in many indigenous cultures, which often operate from this worldview of deep interconnectedness, sometimes summed up in the phrase, all my relations. From this perspective, a sign in nature, like a hawk appearing at a crucial moment, isn't a coincidence at all. It's a form of communication, a message from the spirit world, reminding you that everything is connected.
And yep, across countless mystical traditions, these events are often seen as divine synchronicity. They're interpreted as signs from a higher power, maybe confirming that you're on the right path or offering a bit of guidance when you need it most.
Which really brings us to the core of it, right? The human side of it all. Because whether you believe in a cosmic plan or cold, hard probability, the personal impact of these events is profound. It's undeniable.
Okay, get this story that just piles one coincidence on top of another. A person finishes reading a book about this very topic, synchronicity. They go out to dinner, and it turns out the bartender's from the same small town as a friend they've lost touch with. That's pretty cool, right? But it doesn't stop there. So while they are literally texting that friend to try and reconnect, a musician in the bar starts playing a song. He mentions he learned it from a man named Gilbert Spray, who, it turns out, is the friend's grandfather. I mean, come on, an experience like that creates a sense of awe that simple probability just struggles to fully capture.
And that, right there, is the heart of it, isn't it? Maybe it doesn't matter if it's a cosmic signal or just a quirk of our brains. The experience itself is what's powerful. It can inspire wonder, a feeling of connection, and make us re-engage with our own life story. The power is in the meaning we give that moment.
So, in the end, where does that leave us? We're left with this amazing question that sits right on the edge of science and wonder. Is it all just statistical noise that our pattern-seeking brains shape into meaning? Or are these moments a brief glimpse of a deeper, more connected reality? Maybe the universe just winking back at us? Perhaps the real value is simply in being reminded that the world is far more mysterious and maybe a little more magical than we often give it credit for.